It's just a firecracker. You City Branch should be used to that. Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming your way for a very exciting VHS showcasing video. You might have seen my VHS showcasing video for Sleepaway Camp 2, the original North American VHS release, and you might have been just as sad to see that as I am, to find out that I don't own a completely intact, normal, fully intact VHS release of Sleepaway Camp 2. But if that made you sad, rest assured that this video will hopefully make you happy, because I've actually am the proud owner of a fully intact North American, very first North American VHS release of Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland. Taking a look at the back bottom corner, we can see artwork and design, copyright 1989, Nelson Entertainment Incorporated. Taking a closer look at the front cover, just like the cover for the VHS release of Sleepaway Camp 2, I can remember seeing this VHS cover a lot in the late 80s and all of the 90s in video stores. One thing I will say about the three Sleepaway Camp films in the late 80s and early 90s is, late 80s and all of the 90s, is that all three covers were really, really eye-catching. And that's one thing that I think is really cool about, one of the many things that is really cool about the first three Sleepaway Camp films, especially in the VHS days. And the VHS cover for Sleepaway Camp 3 doesn't disappoint, that's for darn sure. And just like with the cover for the VHS of Sleepaway Camp 2, I think this woman more or less is this kind of buxom chick with the knife is more or less supposed to kind of more or less be Angela. It's really strange to me that, they got Pamela Springsteen. I don't know if it would have just been some contractual thing. They got Pamela Springsteen out there for a couple movies back to back. I don't know why they couldn't just snap pictures, for the covers of Pamela Springsteen as Angela for the two, covers for Sleepaway 2 and 3. There's got to be some legal bullshit kind of reason why. I mean, obviously this cover with the cleavage and stuff might, get more sales and rentals. But yeah, it is very strange as to why, they don't just have Pamela Springsteen on the covers. But maybe, I guess in the case of I don't know. I guess maybe they think it's a spoiler, or who the hell knows. And in the case of Sleepaway Camp 2, I guess maybe it could be technically a spoiler. But at any rate, we've got this more or less buxom hot chick there. In previous, or in subsequent releases, we can actually, or maybe Tubi, versions of this on Tubi or something like that, we can actually see her eyes and other iterations of this front cover. But and possibly the Laserdisc that was also released around the same time, maybe you can see her eyes. But in this VHS version, it's kind of cool how it's just like the nose down and the red, lips with that expression of the murderous expression or whatever, holding this kitchen kind of butcher knife with a shocked frickin' face in the reflection and some blood on there. We've got a tagline for Sleepaway Camp 3, which is, "She's back to slash last year's record." If you've seen the cover art or proposed cover art for the recent Sandpiper Blu-ray release, you'll see that it said she's back to smash last year's record. I'm pretty sure they fixed that before they actually put out the Blu-ray. I can't remember. Did they fix it? I can't remember if they fixed it or not. I think they fixed it. Anyway, whether it's fixed or not, the Sandpiper Blu-ray release had she's back to smash it versus slash, which is pretty funny. Panning further down the cleavage here, we can see it's almost like she's wearing a Sleepaway Camp 3 Teenage Wasteland tank top. That would have actually been a cool accessory to sell for the women, a black tank top with this logo on there, because it's pretty much the front cover. Sleepaway Camp 3 Teenage Wasteland. I can remember as a teenager really liking the font for Sleepaway Camp 3, and I did my own kind of little poster of it where I tried to replicate the goofy kind of font that Sleepaway Camp 3 appears in here. Just like with the second film, they're following with the Roman numerals theme. It's not a number 3, but a number 3 if you live in Rome. Teenage Wasteland. Bottom corner here is Nelson Entertainment, And unlike the other bottom corner with part 2, or not part 2, Sleepaway Camp 2, that had a hi-fi mono indicator on the other bottom corner, this one they chose not to. Taking a look at the right spine, this is interesting. If you watch the video I did for the Sleepaway Camp 2 VHS, you'll know that that said like horror comedy or comedy/horror, and I talked about how a fan of the first film picking up that VHS cover might have not been so keen on seeing comedy/horror on there. Looks like a year later they opted to get rid of the comedy and just put horror on the top spine. I think that makes sense. It's really kind of interesting to me how the majority, as we'll see further as the video progresses, how the majority of this video cassette cover is yellow, which is really strange to me. You know, the font is yellow on the cover, but then the rest of the cover is yellow with a red font, which is just weird. Sleepaway Camp 3 Teenage Wasteland logo. Same kind of logo as on the front, but it's in red, featured on the spine. We've got a shot of Pamela Springsteen as Angela coming at you with really psychotic face, holding up a weapon there, which we can also see on the spine. Looks like they saved the hi-fi mono for the spine and Dolby BNR on linear tracks. We've got a really kind of a standout VHS like logo there, I guess. Catalog number 7758. Bottom of the spine, Nelson Entertainment. Taking a look at the left spine, same thing mostly as the other spine, horror, and the red Sleepaway Camp 3 logo on yellow. Let me just compare. Okay, they omitted the image, the still image of Angela, and they pushed the VHS logo up and also omitted the hi-fi mono and omitted the catalog number and pushed Nelson up and then made space for the barcode at the bottom of this spine. The top of this VHS release of Sleepaway Camp 3 looks like this. Taking a look at the back, just like with the VHS release of Sleepaway Camp 2, we've got 3 still images here, and I like kind of how they make them look like photos from a photo scrapbook, kind of like my summer camp fun, you know, yearbook of death. But we've got one of someone chasing someone in a Jeep Wrangler. We've got Pamela Springsteen there with the wig on and holding a gun. I wonder what horror fans thought of that when they looked on the back of this VHS cover. But the third image here is more, you know, to the liking of what we'd expect for a Sleepaway Camp 3. Some dead, bloody corpse hanging upside down outside a cabin in the woods. And this is probably behind the scenes photo because we never see a shot like that. As a matter of fact, you can just see he's hung in a way which, you know, is more of a technical movie way of being hung than Angela probably would have hung him. So yeah, it didn't occur to me until right now that it's more or less a behind the scenes photo of that bloody corpse hanging upside down, and I'm sure that actor loved hanging upside down. And in the movie, he did such a good job of hanging there and like just being so still and just, yeah, good props to that guy. He did a great job. We can also see the red version of Sleepaway Camp 3 Teenage Wasteland logo. Pamela Springsteen gives a slashing performance as Angela, a murderous camper who returns to camp. To Camp Happy Woods? What? What? Returns to Camp Happy Woods? What? I'm really glad I'm reading this for the first time on video. Holy shit! Camp Happy Woods? That's news to me. Oh my God! I have to compose myself. I gotta. Okay, I'll talk about it more maybe later. Returns to Camp Happy Woods, where she previously had. I can't. Where she previously had killed most of the campers. The camp reopens under an inept new management team, played by Michael J. Pollard, I don't know how the hell to pronounce it, and Sandra Dorsey. This is the ideal setting for Angela, who is dedicated to doing her job of eliminating quote-unquote immoral teenagers. armed with an arsenal of knives, guns, ropes, axes, and even a lawnmower. Well, why don't they say lawnmowers? Angela puts away everybody except for Marcia and her boyfriend. In a no-holds-barred catfight, Marcia repeatedly stabs Angela and sends her off in an ambulance, thinking she'll never have to see her again. Or will she? Yeah, let's just completely spoil the end of the movie on the back synopsis. I tell you, I mean, Camp Happy Woods? What the hell? That is, oh my God. And underneath the synopsis, which completely spoils the end of the movie, we can see abbreviated credits. And it's really interesting here. We've got underneath the abbreviated credits, of course, it's copyright 1989 Double Helix Films Incorporated. All rights reserved. All of us Sleepaway Camp fans know, of course, that they filmed both 2 and 3 back to back in the late summer, early fall of 1988. But this, obviously, the third film is copyrighted 1989. Also interesting, something of note here. It looks like Nelson possibly had some help from Orion Home Video for this release. Interestingly, we've got Orion Home Video that we can see, I think, only on the back so far of this cover. And on the bottom there we can see Orion Home Video and all that information in regards to Orion Home Video. So it's funny that, like, what, Nelson they didn't have the chutzpah to put this out themselves and had to have help from Orion. That's just really strange to me. But if you know anything about, like, late 80s, early 90s Orion VHS releases, you'll know that the front and back cover flaps are, like, folded inside the cover to kind of, I think, to be a little more wear resistant. So it's possible that if this wasn't in part distributed or whatever, put out by Orion, that we might not have those Orion signature front and back cover folding into the inside to you see it kind of rounds out. See how it kind of rounds out the edges of the front and back cover? I think it's to be more wear resistant. So it's quite possible we can thank Orion Home Video for adding that little more durability to the VHS cover of Sleepaway Camp 3. Taking a look at the VHS cassette itself, it's kind of interesting how, I think, it's upside down compared to the Sleepaway Camp 2 release. As we can see, there's some differences compared to the Nelson Entertainment VHS release of Sleepaway Camp 3 a year prior. It's not a sticker like that release. It is simply printed on the cassette, which I think is actually, I've said this before on VHS showcasings, I think it's my favorite way of putting information on a VHS cassette, because that way the label, you don't have a label and you don't have to worry about the label peeling off or becoming damaged or falling off someday in the future. Simply printing the information onto the label area is something that I think makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. In this case, we can see Nelson Entertainment on the top, Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland, catalog number, rated R, 80 minutes, color, all this other information, including all-important warning copyright information on the bottom there. You can also see the video store, I guess, stickers that numbers this particular VHS release, probably for their inventory. For that particular video store, this was 3099. Yeah, I can't get over that. Camp Happy Woods. I don't know if I've ever read the back of that VHS cover. I can't remember that at all. Camp Happy Woods? I mean, holy Toledo. That really makes you wonder. I mean, whoever wrote that synopsis maybe isn't... Where did they get that? Someone's just... Maybe some guy in the office was just like, it was April 1st or something, and just sent them a memo. Yeah, John is writing the spiel for the back of the Sleepaway Camp 3 VHS, and it's April 1st. We'll send him the memo what to write on there. Camp Happy Woods, not thinking that he was actually going to do it, and then he does it, and I bet he's sorry he pranked. Oh my God, Camp Happy Woods. And it's really cool how my actual reaction to it, like I didn't read it over before I did the video, it was actually my real-time reaction to Camp Happy Woods. What the frackin' holy Toledo. But anyway, yeah, I'm happy to be the proud owner of the fully intact VHS release, the original VHS release of Sleepaway Camp 3, and in all my years and months of going on eBay and this and that, I am aware that I don't know if they put out a Laserdisc for the second movie, but I am aware that there's a Laserdisc release of Sleepaway Camp 3, and yeah, I'd really like to have that, but I'm probably not willing to spend whatever someone would want for the Laserdisc release of Sleepaway Camp 3, so I'll probably never own that. But I don't think I've ever seen a Laserdisc release of Sleepaway Camp 2 on eBay. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it is strange in closing that, like I say, Orion Home Video played a part in the North American VHS release of Sleepaway Camp 3. When stuff like that happens, it always just makes you go, what? Like, what? It's just so random, and why is not Nelson putting it out themselves? But as I said, we can probably thank Orion Home Video for adding the more durable, bottom part of the front and back cover of the sleeve bit, because that's something Orion did back in the late 80s, early 90s with their VHS releases, which was really a good idea and really kind of added to the durability of the VHS sleeve. So I guess that pretty much does it for this video. I sure hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, we'll catch you on the next video.